What's going on, everybody? My name is Hongos, and in this video we're going to be looking over the Joe Rogan Experience and how the transition from YouTube to Spotify has really dwindled down the experience for me as an avid listener. I went from listening from every single episode to now listening to maybe every fifth episode if it's good. And I am an avid listener of the podcast because I made my producer draw me this fish named Mr. Hustler. He is a salmon that is bald, loves kettlebells, and is asking you right now, damn bro, that's crazy. Have you ever tried DMT? So, first and foremost, this review is about the user interaction and the user experience. This is not going to be about the new studio, Alex Jones, or the blue-haired people in the back trying to fact-check Joe. This is more about how the medium, Spotify, is killing the message, because I think there's already enough videos critiquing what Joe says on his podcast. I'm not going to lie. Spotify feels like it was made in the mid-2000s, made by an intern who worked at LimeWire. How does Spotify have millions of dollars but some of the worst user interface on the planet? So let's start off with the most basic thing that you can do on any website, which is the search results. On the left, we have YouTube. When I look at YouTube, it provides me with an excellent amount of information. First and foremost, a nice and big thumbnail that is responsive to how big my screen is and the screen real estate. It also provides me with a title, and it provides me with a description. As you can see on the right, Spotify does not provide me with any of that. And on top of that, one thing that might be a little bit frustrating, since there's a huge catalog of JRE podcasts, is that if you misspell a guest name, YouTube will suggest a name. On Spotify, there are no suggestions. If you misspell the name, you're just screwed all over. The thing that YouTube does really well is automatically play the video once you click on it. From Spotify, it'll drag me over, but there's nothing that has been highlighted. So you might accidentally scroll up and down and you're gonna lose your place. So what does this mean? That I have to go back and then I have to click on it again, and then I have to put my hands away from the keyboard to make sure that I don't scroll up and down, and then I gotta click on it and then it'll start up. Okay, so we haven't even started a single podcast and we haven't even talked about anything else. This is just the basic core of any website, and Spotify managed to mess this up. If you're a brand new Spotify user, this is going to be extremely confusing for you. So one thing that really drives me nuts is how unreactive Spotify is. When it comes to YouTube and I drag over a page, the website just naturally adapts to whatever size I want it to be. That's great. That's how I used to watch my podcast. It just used to be a tiny player at whatever size I wanted whenever I was using any laptop here or at work. When it comes to Spotify, it has only 3 choices and they're all horrible. It has a small player, a medium, and a large. The small player, I don't even know why that's a choice. It's just on the corner, and at that point you need a magnifying glass in order to see the podcast. Nobody owns one of those. The medium is a bad choice because remember how I told you that everything was put onto one page? Look at this. And this disgusting drop shadow, what's that all about? I don't want to look at the podcast if it looks like this jammed to one page. The worst option though is the large. If you're a dual monitor person like I am, and you make this page huge, all you're going to be looking at is that Joe's big bald head. I don't want to look at that for 3 hours, but the thing that I dislike the most, and that is the biggest nitpick, is the way that time is managed. When you talk to someone, you usually tell them the time by hour, minutes, and seconds, and YouTube does a really good job at that. When it comes to Spotify, for some reason, it only gives you the minutes. So like if you're into a podcast that's an hour and 30 minutes in, it'll show you as 130 minutes in with 20 seconds or something along those lines. It's a really small nitpick, but it's my least favorite thing about Spotify, along with that disgusting drop shadow. So, according to my producer, this channel is too small for ads, but you know what channel isn't too small for ads? The JRE. The reason that I was okay with the transition at first was because there were going to be no ads. YouTube did have some ads from time to time if I watched it on mobile. But now the JRE has ads at the start, which I was okay with, maybe 1 or 2. But now when I play it, sometimes it'll be 2 or 3. And the thing that drives me the most crazy sometimes as a premium Spotify member, where I pay money to not hear ads, is the mid-roll ads. Sometimes there'll be 2 or 3 ads, and I can't skip them, but sometimes I skip the ad incorrectly, so it sends me back to the start of the podcast, and I don't know what hour I was on because everything is kept only in minutes and seconds. Spotify did have a response according to a few Redditors. It says, some podcasters have embedded ads on their content. It means this ad is part of their content. That's why it's not avoidable, although you're on premium. Just to clarify, when you're on premium Spotify, it doesn't include any extra ads. So, what is the point of me paying for Spotify Premium if the creators are just going to go around what you said I am paying for? I think Spotify should put a hard yes or a hard no on whether we're going to get ads, because it just feels like I'm paying for nothing and I'm also having an interruption to the conversation. To be quite honest, a lot of times I'll just quit the app if there's a mid-roll app and I don't want to pick up and keep on listening. So we're going to move on to mobile, and I gotta say the UI UX is a lot better on the mobile platform, but that's not really saying much because it's still really bad. On the mobile though, you do get your icons, you get your descriptions, and you get a sort of better dedicated page to every single guest and every single video. The one thing that really drives me crazy though is the fact that I like to listen to audio only if I'm mobile, but Spotify is trying to do this huge thing where they're pushing video in order to compete with YouTube. This is frustrating because one, I can't turn it off. If you don't have unlimited data, you might accidentally download a 3-hour podcast sometime. If we're talking about a compressed file that is 3 hours long, that might be 5 gigabytes. So for one podcast, you just spend like 1/4 of your month's gigabytes worth for one episode. Imagine if you accidentally downloaded 3 podcasts in one day. That would completely kill your data plan. If you want to download it on top of your data that you're using, you're going to be using the storage on your phone. If you have a 64 gigabyte iPhone, you're pretty much screwed if you download 10 podcasts because that's 50 gigabytes. I like the JRE, but I don't like it enough to give it 50 gigabytes of storage on my phone. Spotify gives you no option to turn this off. As someone that wants to mainly listen to the audio mobile only on my cell phone, this becomes a really big problem, and I think it's just annoying that Spotify forces you to look at the video. Also, if you are a truck driver or someone that has a job where you're sitting around or on the road constantly, I find that this is a huge downgrade because now you're sort of forced to listen to the video. I don't know, I feel like there are other applications that are much better for listening to podcasts. Spotify's UI UX just completely kills everything. Also, this might be a nitpick for me, but when I'm trying to expand the video, I find that it's extremely difficult to click on enlarging. And again, there is this disgusting thing with Spotify where they like to put in this disgusting drop shadow even on mobile. What is this drop shadow all about? So here it is. See how it's all the way in the freaking corner and it's really hard to reach at. Overall, I think it's just extremely difficult to like the JRE, not because of the content, but the way that the medium is being delivered. To be honest, it feels like Spotify gave their entire UI UX of the video content to their interns and said, do whatever you want with it. Will I continue to listen to the podcast as I did before? Maybe kind of. I'm already starting to lose some sort of interest in it. Do I feel like this is the end of an era? Kind of hard to say, difficult, but Lex Fridman did say on his podcast that if Spotify ever felt too overwhelming for Joe, that he would give back the $100 million. This hasn't happened yet, so Joe must be very happy over there. So for right now, I will stay optimistic about the podcast and keep on listening from time to time because Joe has provided me with a lot of value and he's introduced me to people that I thought I would never listen to. And I think that is worth giving him the benefit of the doubt too. At the end of the day, that's all I have for you. I thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Isaac Mihangos, and I'll catch you in the next one.